1. What is the primary purpose of a sediment basin in erosion and sediment control? A. To filter stormwater through vegetation. B. To temporarily store runoff and allow sediment to settle before discharge. C. To permanently retain all sediment on site. D. To increase the velocity of runoff to prevent ponding. 2. According to the Universal Soil Loss Equation, USLE, which factor represents the susceptibility of soil to erosion? A. R factor, rainfall erosivity. B. K factor, soil erodibility. C. LS factor, slope length and steepness. D. C factor, cover management. 3. What is the maximum recommended slope for establishing vegetative cover without additional erosion control measures? A. 2:1 horizontal to vertical. B. 3:1 horizontal to vertical. C. 4:1 horizontal to vertical. D. 5:1 horizontal to vertical. 4. Which best management practice, BMP, is most effective for controlling erosion on steep slopes during construction? A. Silt fence installation at the toe of slope. B. Terracing or benching with erosion control blankets. C. Seeding with fast-growing annual grasses. D. Installing check dams in adjacent waterways. 5. What is the minimum thickness requirement for mulch application to provide effective erosion control on disturbed soil? 1 inch. B. 2 inches. C. 3 inches. D. 4 inches. 6. Under the Clean Water Act, which permit program regulates stormwater discharges from construction activities? A. NPDES, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. B. RCRA, Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. C. CERCLA, Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation and Liability Act. D. Toxic Substances Control Act. 7. What is the primary difference between Type C and Type D silt fence fabric? A. Color of the fabric material. B. Height of the fence posts. C. Opening size and flow rate capacity. D. Installation method and anchoring requirements. 8. When should temporary erosion control measures be installed on a construction site? A. After all earthwork activities are completed. B. Before or immediately after land disturbing activities begin. C. Only during the rainy season. D. When the site inspector requires them. 9. What is the recommended maximum drainage area for a standard silt fence installation? A. 0.25 acres. B. 0.5 acres. C. 1.0 acre. D. 2.0 acres. 10. What is the recommended minimum spacing between silt fence posts for standard installations? A. 3 feet. 6 feet. C. 15 feet. 11. What is the purpose of a construction entrance-exit on a job site? A. To provide security and control access. B. To reduce tracking of sediment onto public roads. C. To create a designated parking area. D. To establish a material storage location. 12. Which method is most effective for stabilizing a steep channel bank subject to high flow velocities? A. Seeding with native grasses only. B. Mulch application without anchoring. C. Turf reinforcement mats or hard armoring with riprap. D. Installing wooden stakes at 5-foot intervals. 13. According to erosion control principles, what percentage of ground cover is needed to significantly reduce soil erosion? A. 30%. B. 50%. C. 70%. D. 90%. 14. What is the primary function of a check dam in a drainage channel? A. To completely stop water flow. B. To reduce flow velocity and promote sediment deposition. C. To divert water away from the site. D. To increase channel capacity. 15. Which factor has the greatest influence on the erosive power of rainfall? A. Total annual precipitation. B. Rainfall intensity and drop size. C. Air temperature during rain events. D. Barometric pressure. 16. What is the recommended spacing for check dams in a drainage swale with a 5% slope? A. Every 25 feet. B. Every 50 feet. C. Every 100 feet. D. Every 200 feet. 17. When is the use of polyacrylamide most effective in erosion control? On frozen ground surfaces. B. In irrigation water or low-flow situations. C. During heavy rainfall events only. On fully vegetated areas. 18. What is the maximum allowable turbidity level for stormwater discharge under most NPDES permits? 25 NTU. C. Varies by permit and receiving water standards. 100 NTU. 19. Which vegetation establishment method provides the fastest soil stabilization? A. Broadcast seeding. B. Hydroseeding. C. Transplanting plugs. 20. What is the primary advantage of using erosion control blankets over bare mulch? A. Lower material cost. B. Easier installation process. C. Better anchoring and resistance to wind and water. D. No maintenance required. 21. How often should erosion and sediment control BMPs be inspected during active construction? A. Once per month. B. Every 2 weeks. C. At least once every 7 days and after rain events of 0.5 inches or greater. D. Only when visible problems occur. 22. What is the critical shear stress in the context of erosion control? A. The maximum weight a soil can support. B. The minimum force required to initiate soil particle movement. C. The tensile strength of geotextile fabrics. D. The compressive strength of aggregate materials. 23. Which regulatory agency typically enforces erosion and sediment control requirements at the federal level? A. OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. B. PA, Environmental Protection Agency. C. DOT, Department of Transportation. D. USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. 24. What is the recommended minimum freeboard for a temporary sediment basin? A. 3 inches. 6 inches. C. 12 inches. D. 24 inches. 25. Which factor is not part of the revised universal soil loss equation? A. Rainfall erosivity factor. B. Wind speed factor. Topographic factor. D. Support practice factor. 26. What is the primary purpose of compost filter socks in erosion control? A. Permanent slope stabilization. B. Perimeter sediment control and filtration. C. Soil amendment for vegetation growth. D. Channel lining material. 27. When should permanent vegetation be established on disturbed areas? A. Immediately after final grading. B. Within 14 days of reaching final grade. C. At the end of the construction project. D. During the next appropriate planting season. What is the function of a sediment trap in erosion control? A. To capture sediment from small drainage areas using excavated depressions. B. To filter groundwater before discharge. C. To store construction materials. D. To collect recyclable materials. 29. Which soil amendment is most effective for improving water infiltration in compacted clay soils? A. Lime. B. C. D. Compost or organic matter. 30. What is the maximum recommended flow velocity in a vegetated channel to prevent erosion? A. 1 to 2 feet per second. B. 3 to 5 feet per second. C. 6 to 8 feet per second. D. 10 to 12 feet per second. 31. Under what conditions should a turbidity curtain be used? A. To control erosion on steep slopes. B. To contain sediment in aquatic environments during in-water work. C. To filter air emissions from construction equipment. D. To create a visual barrier for the public. 32. What is the recommended maximum slope length before requiring intermediate sediment controls? A. 50 feet. B. 100 feet. C. 200 feet. D. 500 feet. 33. Which characteristic makes a soil highly erodible according to NRCS standards? A. High organic matter content. B. High clay content. C. Soil erodibility index greater than 8. D. pH level below 5.0. 34. What is the primary purpose of phasing construction activities in erosion control planning? A. To reduce labor costs. To minimize the area of exposed soil at any given time. C. To comply with zoning regulations. D. To accommodate seasonal weather patterns only. 35. Which maintenance activity is most critical for silt fence effectiveness? A. Painting the posts annually. B. Removing accumulated sediment when it reaches 1/3 the fence height. C. Replacing fabric every 6 months, regardless of condition. D. Adding additional posts every month. 36. What is the recommended seed application rate for typical erosion control mixtures in most regions? A. 10 to 20 pounds per acre. B. 40 to 60 pounds per acre. C. 80 pounds per acre. D. 200 to 300 pounds per acre. 37. Which of the following is considered a structural erosion control practice? A. Preserving existing vegetation. Minimizing soil compaction. C. Installing riprap line channels. D. Scheduling work during dry periods. 38. What is the primary difference between erosion control and sediment control? A. Erosion control prevents soil detachment. Sediment control captures detached soil. B. Erosion control is temporary. Sediment control is permanent. C. Erosion control is more expensive than sediment control. D. There is no difference between the two practices.